guys. So today we're going to be talking all about PMS. So we're going to talk about how to eat correctly and how to train around premenstrual syndrome. So before we start, what is PMS? So PMS is the name for symptoms women can experience in a week before their period. So this is in that luteal phase. We're coming up to our period. Everything's feeling a bit, we might have mood swings. We might be feeling upset or anxious or irritable, tiredness and fatigue, stomach cramps and bloating. We might have headaches, cravings, all those horrible things we feel. We just feel absolutely miserable. Some women might feel it a little bit more than others. So obviously, as with everything with our menstrual cycle, symptoms are going to vary from individual to individual. So in terms of our cycle, you are always going to feel different to how your friend feels at any stage. Your training might be different, how you feel about food might be different. So it's really important to remember that while we talk about PMS, you might not get any of these symptoms at all, or you might get several of them. You might get a combination. You might get some worse than others. So hopefully something in here you're going to be able to take away. So yeah, you might have severe symptoms or you may have no symptoms at all. So big things that can determine whether you get symptoms is obviously lifestyle factors. So you will see as we go through the talk that some things are going to make you feel those symptoms less. And obviously the way you live your life is going to have a huge impact on how you feel throughout your period and obviously in that phase leading up to the menstruation. So activity level and diet, and we'll be having a look at why that can make a difference as well. So some women actually suffer from intense symptoms, and this is known as PMDD. This is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. So this is an extreme version of PMS, and this is the kind of thing that you would kind of need to talk to your healthcare provider about, because all those symptoms just times them by 10, everything gets a lot worse. Women can suffer with things like feelings of depression, anxiety, a little bit more intense than just kind of that everyday PMS that we might get. Not every day, it's pretty horrible having PMS, but there you go. So I'm going to just share back with Becs, and she's going to go through nutrition and PMS.
Beautiful. So in terms of the food side of things, I'm going to talk through some of the most common symptoms that we see and give you some good tips on how you can kind of use your diet to help alleviate these symptoms. So I think the biggest one we see, and I particularly see with clients, is cravings. I think every week when I check in with clients, there is at least one person that tells me, I cannot, all I've done all week is crave chocolate, crave ice cream. What do I do? So I think the first thing to do is actually become aware of your cravings. So maybe start to note things down. Are you craving the same foods every month? Is there a pattern? Some months you might crave a lot, other months you might not crave at all. But if you are kind of craving those same foods every single month, I would really start to make a note of them. And then we can look at how we can actually manage those symptoms. So the kind of main thing we do actually see is those carbohydrate rich, still got people coming in, carbohydrate rich foods that we're craving. So, things like the chocolate, the ice cream, and that is actually your body just saying, I want some glucose. So it's important to listen to your body to some extent and give it what it's actually asking for. But obviously, if we can, we want to be giving the body those energy dense foods, providing glucose, but with some nutritional benefits at the same time. Because we all know that, yes, eating some ice cream or eating chocolate is really good at the time, but 9 times out of 10, you probably feel a bit worse after, because it gives you that high and then you feel a bit crap after. So if we can give the body what it's wanting, so the energy dense foods, but with some additional benefits, that's kind of what we want to be going for. Regular meal structure, you'll hear me bang on about this all the time. It comes in a lot, but it's so key, because if you can have that consistent meal structure across the day, and I'm talking meals and snacks, you're going to help stabilize your blood glucose levels across the day, controlling your energy, as well as controlling your hunger. So if you can make sure, you know, you're not leaving hours between meals, letting yourself become ravenous and, you know, wanting to just dip into everything you see and end up grazing as well, by actually having that solid regular meal structure and being consistent, it's going to help prevent those cravings from coming in. That also leads on to protein and evenly distributing your protein across the day. So looking at your meals, do you have a good source of protein in your meals? Looking at your snacks, can you base your snack on a protein source? Again, protein out of our 3 macronutrients, so along with carbs and fats, protein is the one that's going to help keep you feeling fuller for longer. So if you're basing your meals and snacks on a protein source, this is going to help keep you feeling full between your meals, so you're not you know, having that desire to just pick and graze between meals. That can help reduce the cravings too. And then final point on cravings, perhaps it's an opportunity in this time in your luteal phase, so just coming onto your period, it might be a good time to increase your overall food intake. So if you are someone that finds every single month you're wanting to eat more food, you're craving more things, by increasing your food a little bit in that week or week and a bit leading up to your period, it will help kind of prevent you wanting to eat more. And I think this goes particularly if you're in a calorie deficit, where you are, you know, restricting food a little bit. By just having a little bit more, it might help reduce those cravings too. So next one, most commonly seen. Just quickly, I'm just going to go on to some examples. So these things probably look familiar, the kind of things you want to go for when you're getting those cravings. But as I said, if we can actually just swap those things, yes, okay, if you want them every now and again, absolutely fine. But every single month, it's not ideal and it's not going to help. So if you can go for those energy dense foods that are still sweet, still provide a lot of energy. So things like the peanut butter, banana, you can make a good smoothie there, porridge. You can put all sorts on top of porridge, still gives you that sweet and still giving you glucose. Sweet potatoes as well are amazing because they are really, really sweet. Again, going to give that same fix. So these are the kind of things, if you can make those swaps, you will feel better long term rather than having that really good feeling and then kind of feeling a bit worse after. So next one, low mood, and actually just going back to those foods, this can then lead on, you know, if you're having a lot of ice cream and chocolate and feeling really good, and then straight after you might feel quite lethargic and feeling a bit crap. So it kind of links on as well. So in terms of low mood, which is very, very common, we want to do what we can to enhance your mood. So Chloe's going to touch on exercise after, which is a seriously important one for helping to enhance your mood. But there are some foods as well that we can look at to enhance your mood. So fiber rich foods are going to make you feel better longer, again, as I touched on before. So those, you know, things like chocolate and ice cream going to make you feel really good, and then, you know, it's a quick release of energy, whereas things that are rich in fiber are going to help slow that release of energy into the bloodstream, so helping to kind of keep your mood, enhancing your mood long term. Tryptophan rich foods as well. So tryptophan is an amino acid that is going to help produce serotonin. So you probably have heard of serotonin as one of our happy hormones, helping to enhance our mood. So if you can get some foods that are rich in tryptophan that's going to help enhance the mood just by producing serotonin. So as tryptophan is an amino acid, think about your protein rich foods. So your poultry, your eggs, your beans, lentils, all of those kind of things, nuts, seeds, they're all going to provide some tryptophan, which can then enhance your mood. B vitamins, again, they are linked with serotonin production as well, and they are just great for that overall energy, boosting your energy, enhancing your mood. So again, things like nuts, seeds, the beans, lentils, poultry, eggs, bananas, fruits and veg, all really, really good sources of B vitamins. So, you know, a wide variety, a well-balanced diet is going to make sure that you're getting all those things in. Water intake is going to be really key, just to help keep the body hydrated, keep the brain hydrated, keep yourself functioning optimally. That's going to help keep the mood enhanced. And then last one there is gut health. So our gut and our brain are very closely linked. So if you can focus on keeping your gut nice and healthy, this is going to mean you're more likely to enhance your mood and keep yourself feeling better. Also, again, links to serotonin. So in terms of looking at your gut health and promoting good gut health, you want to think about increasing all your fruits and veg. So all good, all rich in antioxidants as well. Want to get those anti-inflammatory foods in and reduce our pro-inflammatory foods. So reducing our processed foods as much as possible, those foods that are high in salt, high in sugar, and increasing our nutrient dense foods. Third one is bloating. I think bloating is very, very common as well. So things we can do, you want to reduce those highly processed foods. As I said, they're high in sugar, they're high in salt, they're high in saturated fats, all of which are pro-inflammatory. They're going to increase the inflammation in the body. So we want to reduce that inflammation as much as possible. Again, foods high in salt, we want to limit those too. On that point too, another symptom that's quite common is tender breasts and swollen breasts. And actually foods high in salt can be linked to this as well. So reducing those foods too will help with this symptom as well. So as I said, increasing those nutrient dense foods, so foods that are going to provide plenty of macronutrients, micronutrients, all of our vitamins, minerals as well. All those anti-inflammatory foods, nuts, seeds, oily fish, and antioxidants too. Reducing fizzy drinks. So this is just going to naturally reduce bloating and then increasing water intake. So making sure you're staying hydrated, keeping things moving along, all going to help reduce the bloating. Alcohol, again, is pro-inflammatory, so just going to lead to inflammation. And also a lot of alcohol has added sugars. So again, pro-inflammatory. If you're mixing spirits with fizzy drinks that are high in sugar, carbonated, again, all gonna increase the chances of bloating. So we want to limit those as much as we can. Sleep. We bang on about sleep as well. I think sleep is so underrated and it's kind of forgotten about so often, but it's so important. And in terms of PMS, okay, we want to look at our sleep hygiene, and that's going to include your routine, your sleep routine, and your sleep environment too. Okay, so we want to be making sure that, are you relaxing? Are you switching off before you go to bed? Maybe you need to start reading a book. Maybe you need to have a nice hot shower, hot bath, lighting some candles, playing some relaxing music, that kind of thing. Maybe if you're struggling to fall asleep, listening to some music as you fall asleep might help. Looking at your environment around you. Are you switching your screens off? Are you looking at your screen right up until that moment you're trying to fall asleep? So trying to limit your screen time as much as possible is going to help big time. Okay. Again, as I've said before, consistent meal structure. So across the day, you want to kind of stabilize your blood glucose levels as much as you can. So having that consistent meal structure is going to help control your blood glucose across the day. If you find that you wake throughout the night quite a bit, this is usually your blood glucose levels have dropped, and that's what's causing you to wake up. Your body's saying, I need some food. So actually looking at your structure in the day, have you been consistent? Have you eaten enough throughout the day? Maybe that's something you need to tweak. That leads on as well to the time of your last meal. Have you left it hours before, if you're having dinner at 5 o'clock and then going to bed at 11, 12 o'clock, you've left a quite long period of time, and then you're going to try and sleep for hours. So maybe you need to look at incorporating a snack later on in the evening, again, just to help stabilize those blood glucose levels, just to make sure that you have got enough fuel in the tank to help you sleep throughout the night. Maybe you need to introduce that pre-bed snack. So maybe you need to introduce some protein. Again, that's going to help keep you feeling fuller for longer. Maybe putting some carbohydrates with your protein. Again, as I said before about tryptophan, that amino acid, that's going to help produce serotonin, which will help make you fall asleep, one of our hormones to help initiate sleep. And melatonin as well, we can get some melatonin through some foods. Again, one of those hormones that helps the body fall asleep and helps to control that sleep cycle. Caffeine and alcohol, both two things to look at if poor sleep is something you suffer with month on month. So caffeine, you want to be looking at controlling and limiting your intake in the day, looking at trying to have your caffeine pre kind of 12 p.m. stays in the blood for a very long period of time. So even having a coffee at sort of 2:33 p.m. can actually be the reason that you might be having poor sleep. Okay, so just making sure that you're having your coffee kind of in the morning. Also making sure that you're not having a lot of kind of supplements that might have caffeine in as well. Pre-workout drinks, things like Nocco, just be mindful of if you are having them, have them earlier on. If you're training in the evening, I wouldn't be having a Nocco at 6 p.m. because I can guarantee it will massively affect your sleep. And I think even if you're one of those people that feels like you can fall asleep, but then it's the fact that you're waking in the night, okay, you're falling asleep, but actually that caffeine is then affecting your sleep pattern. Okay, alcohol as well is one to look at for sleep, as it's going to affect your sleep cycles. Last one that I wanted to talk about was that the anxious feeling and the irritable feeling, which I think again is very, very common. So again, a consistent meal structure, you can see this is like key. It's going to affect all of those symptoms. So making sure you're eating regularly throughout the day, structuring in snacks as well. So you've got that consistency. Our body loves routine. Our body loves being consistent. So if you can really get that consistent structure in, it's going to help. That's going to massively help your mood, keep you feeling kind of calm, and again comes back to those energy levels and blood glucose levels. Well-balanced meals, so making sure your meals have got some protein, some carbohydrates, and fats. Again, all trying to make you feel better and enhancing the mood to try and reduce those feelings of anxiety and being irritable. Alcohol, as we said, pro-inflammatory. It can kind of lead to those anxious feelings, irritable feelings. If you know you're quite sensitive to alcohol, then just try and limit it as much as possible. I know for a lot of people, it's that go-to when they haven't had a great day or when they're feeling a bit down, it's a go-to to pour a glass of wine, but actually that might then be having a knock-on effect without you even realizing. And again, with caffeine, it is one of those, especially if you're quite sensitive to caffeine, that can lead to these feelings. You might be someone that could maybe have one coffee, but then having two might enhance those feelings as well. So just be mindful of your caffeine intake. And I think that again comes back to start to become aware, start to note things down, start to track those symptoms, and then you can kind of try and put the pieces together to see actually what is coming up frequently and what you can do to try and reduce those. Awesome. So that's all on nutrition at the moment. So I will pass you back to Chloe to go through training.
I forgot I was on mute. Okay, guys, great. Also, before I start, if you have any questions, especially on that nutrition thing, just pop them in the chat as well, and we'll pick them up at the end. So any questions, please pop in the chat, and then same as I go through, just anything you think of. Okay.